All right, we're here at the Hard Knocks Boxing Club. Corey, we have to look at Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm. We know Holly Holm's a kickboxer and a fully evolved mixed martial artist, but the question people keep asking is how is her boxing skills, her boxing technique, her boxing thinking gonna work against Ronda?
Well, against Ronda Rousey, I think the key for Holly Holm is that she needs to use her boxing skill, but not necessarily her boxing instincts. And what I mean by that is when we look at what made Holly Holm successful as a boxer, her main attributes were her speed on the outside, her ability to get in and out, but her ability and her know-how when it came to hitting and holding. So Holly was a little bit more upright as a boxer. Now we see her with a little bit more of a developed, a sturdier stance. She was very upright. She would be on the outside, very fast hands, not necessarily a counterpuncher, but an ambush fighter. So when we say that, we mean someone that wants to kind of walk you into a little bit of a scenario here, run some numbers in here, and then get inside and then turn you and get out, or just wait for the ref to break it up. Obviously, if she's anywhere in here, Robin, that is a very, very bad idea against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I mean, the deal with Rousey is the deeper you get in, you're dealing with her world-class judo. And this range will be probably the most specifically boxer versus judo. And you get in here, it doesn't matter whether you're in here, whether she has an overhook, even with head control, she will come into here and you will go flying. You just will. That's the scenario. So it's a very interesting one that one of Holly's original skills and strengths as a boxer was in that range, because I think against Ronda, you literally have to throw that range away.
Yeah, it's something that she's going to have to get rid of, and she's going to have to replace it with different things. So instead of going in and holding, she's going to need to throw a hook and turn. She's going to need to do things other than that, and I think that Holly, in watching some of her MMA tapes, has gotten away from that, but one slip up and this fight is over.
So that is, what we've just decided is chest to chest range. Although Holly's been traditionally good as a boxer, that's far too dangerous, so she needs to flee that range, strike and flee. We're now talking about the pocket. So in the pocket, if you come in a little closer, in the pocket here, Ronda has tools that don't exist in boxing. Elbows, knees, everything. And because, yes, Holly has those same tools, it is an MMA fight. But what does her boxing career look like in that pocket range?
What's interesting is for the majority of Holly Holm's career, this is a range that she wanted no part of. This is something that she actively avoided. That's why she wanted to hold on and then get back to range. But there's one specific instance in Holly's career where we did see her really work in the pocket, and that's her first fight against Anne-Sophie Mathis. You might have seen that on YouTube. It went viral. It is Holly Holm when she got knocked clean unconscious. Now, for a good part of that fight, she was having some success. She was standing in the pocket, she was trading, you know, she was getting a little bit wild with these hooks, but unfortunately, it was Mathis that came with that right uppercut, and that changed the fight for the next 2 rounds and ultimately found her unconscious on the ropes. That said, that is something that I think she can get away with against Ronda Rousey. It's one thing to get caught by Anne-Sophie Mathis, who's one of the best female fighters in the world, but she is obviously going to have an advantage when it comes to her hand skills against Ronda Rousey. So in my opinion, if she is in here, she finds herself in trouble, instead of going here, which is going to mean lights out for her, throw a combination, throw something, and then get yourself back at range.
Well, there's problems with that for sure. One idea I agree with is a lot of times strikers, when they're dealing with a range at which somebody can grapple with them, they avoid throwing their strengths and they think about countering. But in this case, yes, landing the last punch is among the best choices to prevent the takedown. You get Ronda to protect herself, and then you flee the distance. The other issue, so in theory, landing the last punch in the exchanges is very good in that pocket. The problem is, even when you're just throwing anything, just anything at all in there, Ronda looks to get to here. So any amount of time spent in there, I think, yes, land the last punch, but land it to flee the distance. If she flees the distance, we end up in that tight circle range, just that boxing range. And Holly, with her right hand forward in that range, this is going to be one of her big strengths in the fight.
Exactly. I mean, there's probably no one in MMA in general who has the boxing ability of Holly Holm. So if they are at this range, Holly still has those tight, straight punches, and she's going to be able to get inside a lot of the looping shots that Ronda still likes to throw. Holly doesn't really do anything overly complicated with her combinations. She's mostly 1-2, throw the hook, spin out. And from what I've seen anyway in mixed martial arts, she's mostly the same thing, but that's all she's going to need. If she can keep it out here, that's where she's going to have success.
So, and just thinking about that check hook again, for example, Ronda wants to move forward. As you're throwing that check hook and pivoting, I'm going forward. So go ahead. and I move forward. And then as I need to try to chase and reset, you get opportunities to throw strikes. So I think that range is absolutely a Holly Holm range, but once again, because mixed martial arts is different, in that range, yes, she wins it, but all Ronda has to do is literally will herself forward, and you're in the pocket, and will herself forward again, and she's in chest to chest. So at any range, Holly needs to win that range, but she also needs to avoid Ronda moving forward.
And of course, the one issue that we haven't addressed is the fact that even as a boxer and even as a mixed martial artist now, Holly still doesn't have that one-punch concussive knockout power. So while she can definitely keep Ronda honest, and while she is certainly capable of knocking out Ronda Rousey or any woman in her weight class, it's not an immediate threat. So she still has to stay busy, which is something that she's good at.
Yes, and it makes for an interesting one because that strategy is good, her ranges are good, her size and her strength is good, even her mentality is good, but the problem with not having the ability to shut somebody off, you have to do it for 25 minutes, which is very hard. But let's say that she uses to get back out to distance. Now, I'll be Holly Holm for a second from the southpaw. Holly Holm at this range, again, it's another range she will absolutely own. People forget she's a kickboxer.
Kickboxer first.
The money was made for kickboxers by going hands only, but she's a kickboxer, and her knockouts in mixed martial arts has been out here. She's got a lot of interesting tools from this range. She likes to, much like that check hook, take this kick up here to use it to pivot out. So from this range, she'll throw this kick and pivot around, which is great. And if Ronda starts to look for that, probably the most effective kick for her is a step inside kick. She uses it to maintain range and kicks right into the body here. And again, if Ronda starts to anticipate that, she'll throw the hook kick up to where your right hand is, up here, and lands that one. So she has these weapons, which are gonna work. They'll work at that tight circle boxing range. They'll work at the outside range. But that one crazy thing about MMA is all Ronda needs to do is try to pass through those ranges into here. But it's a really interesting fight, it really is.